There's only so much you can see between the clay and the water, but it's real, and that's the important part. There's a wood structure down there, and at that point, it becomes, okay, can't stop now. Oak Island has finally revealed a clue that could change history forever. Rick and Marty Lagina, after years of relentless searching, have just made their most important discovery yet. Something buried deep beneath the island's surface, something that should not be there. This time, the proof may finally be within reach. Tune in because what they found next will leave you speechless, a discovery that changes everything. This wasn't just any random hole in the ground. Rick had a hunch about this place. It was close to an old shipyard garden, a place where people may have stashed away something valuable a long time ago. They weren't just hoping to find old coins or broken tools. They were after something bigger. Maybe a hidden tunnel, maybe a secret chamber, something that could finally prove all the stories were true. Then a cold draft whispered from the depths, something forgotten or waiting. Meanwhile, across the island, two scientists, Dr. Ian Spooner and Dr. Fred Michael, were working on their own little mystery. They'd been testing the soil and water around the dig site and found something odd, strange bits of metal that shouldn't be there. These weren't just normal island rocks. These metals could mean treasure, gold, silver, something even rarer. Nobody knew for sure, but it was enough to make them double down on this location. The air was thick with excitement as they fired up the drill. This was their last shot for the season, their final chance to break through before winter shut everything down. If they didn't find anything now, they'd have to wait months before getting another try. Everyone stood by, watching, waiting, hoping. As the drill chewed through the earth, the possibilities started swirling in their minds. What if they actually found something huge? A chest filled with gold coins? A passage leading to a hidden room? A piece of history waiting to be uncovered? It wasn't just about the money, though that would be amazing. It was about proving that all these years of digging, all the effort, had been worth it. For each of them, this search meant something different. Some were hoping to make history. Others were dreaming of financial freedom. Some just wanted to prove they were right all along. But at the end of the day, they all wanted the same thing, a real discovery, something solid they could show the world. As the day went on, they checked and double-checked their equipment. They couldn't afford mistakes now. The drill kept going, its steady hum reminding them that they were getting closer. Maybe today would be the day they finally broke through. Maybe today they would change history. Every year, Oak Island gets colder, and every year the team has to pack up and wait until spring. They've had their fair share of disappointments, drilling over and over just to come up with nothing but dirt and sand. The island has a way of keeping its secrets hidden. But this time felt different. This time, the clues were lining up, the metal in the soil, the old maps, the gut feeling that they were finally onto something. It all pointed to one thing. The drill kept turning, pushing through layers of soil that hadn't been touched for centuries. Every time they hit resistance, their hope shot up. Maybe it was wood, stone, or something man-made. The deeper they went, the more their excitement grew. Nobody wanted to leave their post, not when they were this close to an answer. When the first samples came up, the scientists rushed to examine them. They were looking for anything unusual, fragments of metal, signs of ancient construction, anything that suggested they weren't just digging into plain old dirt. Then it happened. They found something buried deep in the core sample, a dark piece of metal, covered in grime but clearly out of place. It wasn't just another rock. It had been shaped, worked on. It was a sign that something valuable was buried even deeper. Word spread fast across the site. The crew gathered around, whispering theories and sharing their excitement. Could this be part of a larger structure? A chest? A hidden room sealed off centuries ago? The possibilities were endless, and nobody wanted to step away for even a second. The dig had just gotten a lot more serious. The drill team adjusted their equipment and kept going, eyes locked on the core samples as they came up one by one. Each new layer of earth held the potential for a game-changing discovery. The scientists tested each sample carefully, running their hands over every tiny piece, scanning for anything that didn't belong. They found more tiny flecks of gold in the soil, hints that they were close to something extraordinary. Then came the unexpected. As they drilled deeper, they hit something solid. The drill struggled, groaned, and finally stopped. This wasn't just more dirt and rock. This was something else entirely. A structure. A hidden vault. Nobody knew for sure, but everyone knew what had to happen next. They had to dig it out. Digging near the old shipyard garden in their last dig of the season, Rick pointed out an exciting spot near an old shipyard garden. He was hopeful this could be their big breakthrough. They weren't just digging holes randomly, they were specifically searching for clues, possibly a hidden room or an underground safe. They planned to drill right there to see what they might find. Elsewhere on Oak Island, Dr. Ian Spooner and Dr. Fred Michael were busy with their own experiments. They had been finding unusual metals in the area, and they didn't think these metals were naturally occurring. They had been testing the water near the old shipyard garden and had chosen a spot for a new drill hole, which they were calling E514. They were optimistic that drilling down about 100 feet could lead them to some valuable metals. They were hopeful this could lead to discovering not only gold but other valuable treasures too. "We're going to take one big swing, and we got a chance of actually finding treasure with this." The scientists were pretty convinced that the metal indications they found were significant. They believed they had found the right spot where some valuable items might be hidden. With their expert knowledge and a bit of instinct, they felt this site might be very important. The whole team was buzzing with the possibility that this could be the moment they found something really special. The excitement was thick in the air as they set up the drill, everyone wondering if this could be the breakthrough moment they had been waiting for. As the drill dug deeper, their excitement grew. They knew this was their last shot for the season. If they didn't find anything now, they'd have to wait a whole year to try again. As the drill worked away, the team's anticipation grew. They discussed what incredible finds might be ahead. What if this spot turned out to be the breakthrough they had been hoping for? What if they uncovered not just a few old coins or metal scraps, but a significant cache that could be famous? This effort was about more than just finding treasures. It was about proving that their hard work and years of effort were worth it. And the best was yet to come. They were aiming to drill down 50 to 60 feet, where they could then start drilling sideways and vertically too. They hoped to find a tunnel connected to this shaft, supported by some of their most promising water sample tests, which had shown signs of gold and silver. They had many hopes for this site, from finding original structures to confirming historical accounts. Everyone on the team had personal reasons for being there, from launching new projects to securing their financial futures or just being part of a historic discovery. But there were practical aspects too. They discussed how they would manage if they found something significant, planning who to call and what steps to take next. The day continued with the team checking and rechecking their equipment, going over their notes to make sure everything was as ready as it could be. They'd had enough letdowns to keep their expectations realistic, but hope still drove them. The continuous sound of the drill was a reminder that they were close to potentially uncovering something big. They watched, waited, and hoped that this last drill of the season would reveal the long-hidden treasures of Oak Island. Every year, as the cold winter winds began to sweep over Oak Island, Rick, Marty, Craig, and their team wrapped up yet another season of treasure hunting. Each year ended similarly, with little more than growing frustration and heaps of sand to show for their efforts. Despite having access to advanced technology and detailed maps that hinted at hidden precious metals below the surface, they still hadn't found the treasure. Each drilling session began with a buzz of excitement among the team, hoping the next core sample would reveal a treasure trove. Yet, all they continued to uncover was sand, endless, monotonous sand. It was especially tough when the sand was mixed with clay, making it difficult to manage and sift through. The presence of clay complicated their search because it muddled the water channels they needed to investigate further. Even though it was getting colder, the team stayed hopeful. But the endless sand started to wear them down. Hopes dashed by endless sand. Sand, miserable sand. Unfortunately, nothing looked promising. Time and again, they drilled into the earth, hoping for a different outcome. As the season starts winding down, there's a lot left to do. The team has to clean and store their equipment, review all the data they've collected, and analyze every piece of information. They look over each detail, each measurement, and every sample, trying to figure out where things might have gone wrong and what they could try differently next time. The discussions are detailed and filled with technical talk as each team member shares their own ideas and theories. They debate possible reasons for their continuous lack of success and brainstorm potential new strategies for the next season. Everyone has their own hopes and theories about what might eventually lead them to the island's hidden treasures. Treasure hunting is a risky business, often not paying off as one might hope, Yet the possibility of uncovering something extraordinary keeps the team coming back year after year. Rick, Marty, Craig, and the rest are drawn back each season by the promise of new approaches and the hope of finally making that big find. Despite the repeated disappointments, the strong teamwork and the thrill of the hunt, the excitement of what they might discover, keep their spirits high enough to return every year. The team at Oak Island digs tirelessly, creating one hole after another in search of treasure. Despite their constant efforts, they end each season without any significant finds. Rick and Marty, who lead the group, remain hopeful with every small clue they uncover, believing they're close to finding a great treasure. Meaning there could be some actual treasure just below us, and we're going to find that out this year, they say. Stay tuned for more. This season, they focused on what they think is a man-made tunnel leading to the ocean. They suspect this tunnel might be causing unexpected water in the garden shaft area and might have been built to protect hidden treasure. This one is a mystery tunnel. They don't know where it goes, who built it, or why it exists. The idea is exciting, like something out of an old pirate story, clever and intriguing enough to keep them coming back. However, let's look at the facts. After drilling their 600th hole, the same pattern of results, or rather, the lack of them, makes you wonder, are they really on the verge of a discovery, or are they just chasing fantasies? They point to metal traces in the water as signs of treasure nearby. Over the past 5 years, this conversation has become an annual event, with them always hoping to find something soon. Yet the holes now number 600. They believe the metal traces in the water are significant. They have experts who confirm these findings are meaningful, not just coincidences. This makes them believe even more that these clues are leading them to a big discovery. But could it be that they're just finding things that are naturally there? They are interpreting common things as extraordinary because they so desperately want to find treasure. The end of each season is now predictable. They meet, go over their findings, which often just raise more questions than answers, and plan for the next year with a mix of hope and determination. They review their work and plan their next steps, always hopeful. Despite another year without major discoveries, they'll meet again, lay out all their information, theories, and maps, and discuss the possibilities with enthusiasm. The lack of discoveries is disappointing, but the odd findings keep them hopeful and ready to continue. The constant cycle of hope versus the reality of finding nothing. Doesn't it get tiring? As they finish another tough season, they think about the small clues that keep them coming back, hoping the next drill will finally pay off. Chasing dreams in the money pit, after numerous attempts and endless speculation, the treasure, if it even exists, still seems like just an imagination. They find unusual things in the soil and water and see patterns that might suggest something more. But these are often just natural things any land would show under such close examination. Yet, they keep digging, driven by the excitement of the hunt, the bond among the team members, and maybe a bit of greed. Year after year, they return to the island, driven by stories of what might be hidden there. The money pit, that famous spot on the island, is their ultimate goal. It's the heart of their quest, the thing that keeps their dreams alive. Their quest isn't just about finding treasure, it's about the thrill of the search, the discoveries they make, and the hope that maybe this time, they might actually find something big. As the Oak Island team wraps up their season, there's a familiar vibe of going through the motions. They've been in this situation before, packing up their gear, jotting down their last notes, and turning off the drills, feeling like they've done all this many times. Despite hitting similar roadblocks, revisiting familiar hints, and repeating promises to do better next year, their optimism doesn't waver. They're already planning their return, filled with ideas about what to try next and discussions on what might have gone wrong this time around. This year's digging efforts at Oak Island ended in disappointment again. The crew was buzzing with excitement over finding some old metal containers in a spot they called the garden shaft. They had ambitious plans to drill sideways after digging down to 95 feet, but before they knew it, the area was swamped with water. It seems like every time they get their hopes up, the result is the same: more mud and water, but no treasure. But that's not the end of it. The initial excitement was spurred by unusual readings indicating metal deep beneath the surface. Fred, one of the diggers, was pretty confident that these readings were a hint of something big hidden below. Yet, after targeting a section known as the baby blob, they ended up with nothing to show but more water. But they're not giving up hope. The plan now is to keep digging around the northeastern part between this spot and the garden shaft, hoping fresh data might lead to a breakthrough. Aside from this, The team is also making quite a fuss about finding traces in 3 other locations near what's famously called the Money Pit area. One of these places, dubbed Aladdin's Cave, is essentially a big water-filled hole that seems to contain tiny bits of precious metals in some old wood. The way they get worked up over some wooden fragments floating in the water is almost odd. They treat these small finds as if they've discovered great artifacts, which really shows how desperate they are to find anything significant. This season seemed more focused on building up hype about what might be found rather than the actual findings themselves. Every dig seems to leave them with more unanswered questions and dwindling credibility. The real draw of Oak Island appears to be its ability to keep treasure hunters coming back, driven more by the thrill of potential finds than by actual discoveries. This group of treasure seekers is incredibly persistent, continuing to chase their dream of striking it rich. Though they usually find nothing but stones and water, the legends and tales about Oak Island add a layer of excitement. Stories about pirates, ancient artifacts, and lost fortunes are thrilling enough to keep anyone interested. But when all is said and done, it's these stories that are the true gems of Oak Island. They attract TV shows, curious tourists, and eager diggers, all drawn by the chance of uncovering something big. Yet, the actual digging process often just leads to more dead ends. With each bit of earth they dig up, the team's excitement grows, hoping the small finds mean they're close to a major discovery. More incredible hints, no treasure. As they continue to excavate from one site to another, following every minor hint, it's a cycle of build-up and disappointment. The whole operation, with its massive machines and dramatic drilling, can look pretty impressive to someone watching from the sidelines. It's easy to get swept up in the drama and the occasional significant finds that usually turn out to be pretty mundane. And at the end of each season, they wrap up with grand summaries of their findings, trying to make even the smallest finds sound important. Despite yet another dig not turning up much, hints of old artifacts and wooden beams suggest they might be getting closer to discovering something real about the island's history. Could the treasure on Oak Island truly be of unimaginable value, or is there a deeper, possibly supernatural element at play here? What do you think? Drop your theories in the comments below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more thrilling treasure hunts.